Iraq, it created the very vacuum in which of America. Would you just please stand or raise your hand and allow us to thank you one more time for your service to this nation and the United States. My heart. I traveled in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan for 10 years in a row when I represented part of Allen County in Washington, D.C. I stood quietly at the gravesides of soldiers who paid the ultimate sacrifice, and to see those gains squandered by a lack of leadership by this administration and our Secretary of State grieves my heart. It's also important to remember it was Hillary Clinton who instigated the disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iraq. United States of America that we would impose punishing completely abandoned their nuclear ambitions. But under this administration, a deal was signed that only achieved a delay in the nuclear ambitions of the leading state sponsor of terrorism. And lastly, it was Hillary Clinton and her State Department who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi, sent no reinforcements as the mortars fell and waves of terrorist assault arrived. After it was over, told the parents of the four fallen that it was because of a video that had been produced in Florida, when in fact Congress found that there were emails that they knew it was a terrorist attack that day on the anniversary of 9/11 4 years ago. And when she was confronted about it before the Senate, Hillary Clinton actually said, quote, "What difference at this point does it make?" Oh, my fellow Hoosiers, as the proud father of a United States Marine, let me just say this. Anyone who said that, anyone who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. When Donald Trump becomes President of the United States, once again, America will lead on the world stage with American strength. Donald Trump will rebuild our military. We will restore the arsenal of democracy. We will stand with our allies. We will stand up to our enemies. And Donald Trump, as Commander-in-Chief, will hunt down and destroy ISIS and any terrorist organization that threatens the American people or inspires violence on our shores. So it's about security, but it's also about prosperity. Despite all the happy talk on the other side, despite even progress we've made here in the Hoosier State, in spite of Washington, D.C., we are in the midst of the weakest economic recovery since the Great Depression. Millions more Americans are living in poverty today than the day that Barack Obama became President of the United States. We have the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s. Hillary Clinton's plan, more of the same. More taxes, more regulation, more Obamacare, and more of the war on coal that has been stifling the American energy economy. Hillary Clinton actually plans to raise taxes by $1.3 trillion, increase spending by trillions more, and she considers Obamacare just a good start. You know, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do, but Hoosiers know better. This economy is nowhere near the best that we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes President of the United States of America, we're going to get this economy moving again by letting the American people keep more of what they earn. We're going to to negotiate trade deals that work for working Americans. We're going to repeal Obamacare, lock, stock, and barrel. We're going to do all the things that we in Indiana have learned a long time ago still work here in the state. We're going to do all the things that we in Indiana have learned a long time ago still work here in the state that works. And when Donald Trump becomes president of the United States, he's going to do what we've been doing in the Hoosier State with strong Republican leadership for much of the last 12 years. We're going to wring every wasteful dollar out of that bloated federal bureaucracy. We're going to cut taxes across the board for working families, small businesses, and family farms. We're going to repeal every single one of Barack Obama's executive orders that are stifling jobs in this country. And on day one of the Trump-Pence administration, we're going to end the war on coal once and for all. And we're going to end all of the above energy strategy that unleashes the power of the American economy. Now, Hillary Clinton thinks that the economists who say that's going to turn things around, she thinks those projections are, in her words, wildly unrealistic. All right. Well, Hoosiers know the only thing wildly unrealistic is continuing to do the same thing with the same leadership, with the same bad ideas, and expecting a different result. The reason I say with such confidence is because it has been working here in Indiana. Here in Indiana, we've demonstrated that you can live within your means. You can let people keep more of what they earn. You can balance budgets, have strong reserves, still make record investments in education, in infrastructure, in the crossroads of America, in healthcare. You can balance budgets, have strong reserves, still make record investments in education, in infrastructure, in the crossroads of America, in healthcare. And today, as we stand in our bicentennial year, we've got more Hoosiers going to work than ever before in the 200-year history of the state of Indiana. And that's exactly the kind of leadership Donald Trump's going to bring to the White House. And that's exactly the kind of leadership that Eric Holcomb is going to bring to the State House when he becomes the 51st governor of the state of Indiana. Eric, would you come up here? Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, Donald Trump talks to me all the time. He says, you know, you Hoosiers are so modest. And he said, Mike, when it comes to telling Indiana's record, you got to get over it. He said, everybody around America talks about Indiana. We talk about the fact that this state is the gold standard of fiscal responsibility, of pro-growth policies. He's inspired by the state of Indiana, and I couldn't be more grateful. And would you join me in thanking the next great Republican governor of the state of Indiana, Eric Holcomb, his wife Janet? Let's make sure they go to the State House and keep Indiana growing. So this is about security. It's about prosperity. It's about having the right leadership here at the state level. It's about having the right leadership at the national level. But it's about one more thing. And it may be the most important thing to my fellow Hoosiers. And that is that while in this election we're going to elect a president for the next 4 years. Now, that president will likely set the course and direction of the Supreme Court of the United States for the next 40 years.